Our last part focuses on Wirtz's so-called partial model approach. When developing a business model, some crucial questions need to be answered, including who are potential customers and what kind of benefit will be created for and with them? Which sub-services are provided by which corporate functions? Or which direct and indirect competition influences the company's activities? To answer these and other questions, it is important to analyze a few key aspects. Here, the partial model approach comes into play, in which key aspects are analyzed step by step. I recommend to start with a market model. We added the organization and corporation model to Wirtz's approach. Let's now take a closer look at the components of the approach, which can also provide a helpful structure for business plan. The market model analyzes the relevant market. Let's start with the so-called strategic triangle shown here. It helps to analyze relevant groups of consumers as well as direct and indirect competition. Both are surrounded by an environment that determines relevant market conditions. Competitive advantages stem from provider advantages, for example, lower costs, customer benefits, better products, or value propositions from the customer's perspective. It is important to also consider the size of the relevant market as well as who will be relevant consumers, segmented in relevant groups. Make sure to study the relevant numbers as well as consumers' demands, their price acceptance and their willingness to pay. Pay attention to competitors and know the basic conditions, considering market barriers and legal standards, for they all influence the company's success. Known models, such as Porter's 5 forces, can be used in such cases. Having analyzed the market model, let's now discuss the procurement model. Based on consumer groups identified, we should take a look at the basic concerning the product or service offered. Offers are typically combined into bundles of both tangible and intangible components. This step focuses on relevant decisions considering service or product differentiation and individualization. The first question should be whether the product or service is highly standardized or customizable. If the product or service is highly individualized, then you have to decide whether it is made for a certain type of customer or different target groups. It might be a good idea to implement bundling strategies that cater to the needs of several different target groups. Bundling describes the combination of products and services sold together, while unbundling describes cases in which modules of all products and services are sold separately. Lastly, mixed bundling describes cases in which products and services are offered in different combinations. The illustration shows that the core product or service offered accompanies a so-called obligatory service necessary to offer this service. This service can be extended by adding recommended services that ought to be offered because your target group expects them and because relevant competitors also offer them. Services can be further extended to include optional services that, though unexpected, can help to differentiate a product or service from those of competitors. We next analyze the manufacturing model, which describes components necessary to realizing the product or service offered. This model, moreover, allows us to analyze which input, resources and competencies are required. Yet this aspect is only one of multiple criteria for identifying right form of vertical integration. As a result of typical make or buy or cooperate decisions, the task of defining an appropriate manufacturing model is part of overall value chain engineering. After deciding whether to build or buy, businesses must review options for procuring the necessary inputs and distributing the products and services. The distribution model analyzes these different options. Relevant categories that need to be analyzed are price, quality, and potential inflexibility. Businesses also have to determine a distribution channel and distinguish products or services as physical or digital. Based on this distinction, an array of different distribution channels are available. Lastly, businesses need to decide whether a multi-channel or single-channel strategy is most appropriate to their situations and purposes. Just as the manufacturing model allows us to identify necessary components, the organization and cooperation model helps with distributing the necessary activities among internal and external providers. This process can help to develop the organization and operational structure. At this point, a business needs to decide in detail how to make, buy, or cooperate in legal and organizational forms. In the digital age, most companies opt to focus on single core competencies and therefore outsource other components of their product or service to external providers. For this reason, it is important for a business to carefully choose its legal form, since such could influence financial, legal, and tax-related aspects. Our final model to analyze is the capital model, with which businesses analyze financial resources as well as expected capital needs. Wirtz distinguishes a revenue model from a financing model. The revenue model takes a closer look at potential sources of revenue and analyzes different pricing strategies. By contrast, the financing model analyzes which current and future capital needs exist and how they are fulfilled by equity or debt capital. As an alternative to the Procurement Model approach, you can use the Business Model Canvas and Value Proposition Canvas by Alexander Osterwalder and Yves Pigneur to develop and adapt your own business system. For more information, just visit their website. It's called businessmodelgeneration.com. Thank you very much for your attention and good luck with your own business system. As always, have a look at further literature that is provided here.